The second entry to Iain M. Bank's culture series, The Player of Games, is likely the book that convinced most of its readers that this science fiction series is something special and worthy to be delved deeper into. But I am getting ahead of myself, and we shall discuss the impact of this novel in greater detail later in the video. The Player of Games, which was published in 1988, 1 year after Consider Phlebas, is a comparatively short novel with only 293 pages. Indeed, it is the shortest of the Culture series novels and only roughly 100 pages longer than the short story collection The State of the Art. The Player of Games also leans on the softer side of the science fiction mode scale, while not fully qualifying to be considered as equivalently hard as Butter. The scope of the literary universe that is presented in the novel is quite vast, but there are obviously inherent limitations owing to the page count not even reaching the 300 mark. Nonetheless, The Player of Games delivers on its roughly 300 pages a surprising amount of interesting and intriguing new ideas and concepts, which we will discuss in further detail later. The dramatis personae consists of roughly half a dozen named characters with one protagonist. Thus, the roster of characters is smaller than in Consider Phlebas. In terms of awards and award nominations, a cursory internet search did not reveal any noteworthy results for the novel. In contrast to the meager yield in the awards section, The Player of Games enjoys significant popular support, as evidenced by a respectable combined rating of 4.3 out of 5 stars based on thousands of Goodreads, LibraryThing and Amazon reviews. Indeed, it is the entry with the highest score of all 10 Culture series books, which is in stark contrast to the comparatively lackluster ratings of Consider Phlebas. As with most popular novels, a movie adaptation of The Player of Games was planned by the French film company Pathé in the 1990s. However, these plans never materialized, and there are currently no indications that there will be any adaptation of The Player of Games as a movie or in a serialized form anytime soon. The story of The Player of Games takes place roughly 750 years after the events of Consider Phlebas. But similar to most other entries in the Culture series, the individual novels tell separate stories, which at most will only vaguely reference events in other books. The Culture has given rise to many great game players, which is not surprising in a post-scarcity society in which the biological sentients work and play for the same reason: self-actualization and simple pleasure. One of the greatest individuals in this respect is Iain Gurgeh. Having mastered every board, computer and strategy game known to the Culture, he is bored by his success and the lack of challenges. After all, he lives for the satisfaction of the next game, ever seeking a worthy opponent. Then, one day, Gurgeh is encouraged and persuaded by special circumstances, the Culture's secretive intelligence division, to take part in the game that defines the Empire of Azad, a less developed, cruel society that is not part of the Culture and is located thousands of light years away. The game of Azad is so complex and intricate that it can only be compared to life itself. In regular intervals, the outcome of the game of Azad determines the social hierarchy within the empire, and the ultimate winner becomes emperor. During the years traveling to the Empire of Azad, Gurgeh studies meticulously how the game is played. Nonetheless, the stakes are high. For Gurgeh, the game is just that, another game to master. For everyone else in the competition, it infiltrates and permeates every area of society, dominating both surface and covert political processes, of which Gurgeh, coming from the Culture, has no experience. And the result is both real and deadly. Mocked, blackmailed, and almost murdered, Gurgeh accepts the game and with it the challenge of his life, and very possibly his death. The Player of Games is a novel with several layers of meaning beneath the rather simple-seeming plot of an outsider competing in an extravagant tournament. First, the role of biological sentience in a galactic civilization run for the most part by artificial intelligences is explored in more detail than in Consider Phlebas. This trope will remain an important aspect through the entire culture series. In the Player of Games specifically, competitions and all sorts of games as the last, only pastime and potentially even purpose in life of biological sentience is one aspect that is even more important and significant today than ever before. Second, the Game of Azad as a reflection of reality and the determinant factor related to the political, societal and philosophical development of the Empire of Azad is an interesting spin to the ideal of a meritocratic order. After all, everyone can compete in the tournament and can thus potentially become emperor. Also, rival ideologies and viewpoints can be tested in the game before being implemented in reality. However, it turns out that the idealized vision of a meritocratic game, and by extension society, is just an illusion. Instead, already present biases in the Empire are reinforced in the game, and the machinations of oligarchical groups permeate the entire tournament, thus contradicting any notion of a meritocratic society informed by the results of the proverbial battleground of ideas that is the Game of Azad. Hence, the Player of Games can be interpreted as a cautionary tale in this respect as well. Third, without revealing too many specific plot points, we also experience in more detail how the culture functions and operates in employing its soft power and covert operations to influence the outcome of certain events. Overall, The Player of Games is a well-paced, captivating book without any long-winded or meandering bits. There would also just not be a sufficient page count to justify anything like that, to be honest. The Player of Games offers also more detailed insights regarding the culture as a galactic post-scarcity society, and it delivers a sizable amount of thought-provoking interpretations of its story, which on a surface level might seem a bit simplistic. The main characters in The Player of Games are not exceptional, but compared to Consider Phlebas, they cannot be considered to be detrimental to the quality of the story, although this specific aspect is subjective to be fair. Ultimately, The Player of Games is the novel that motivated me to keep on reading the entire culture series, and I suspect that this is the case for many others as well. If you liked this video, you may also enjoy the other reviews and content on my channel. Feel free to leave a comment if you want to discuss the novels or if you want to suggest other books that I should review in the future. Please consider upvoting and subscribing, it is much appreciated. Thank you for watching and until next time.